My name is Daniel Mercer, and I'm 51 years old. For 16 years, my entire world revolved around one purpose: raising my daughter Lydia. She was the heartbeat of my life, the reason I kept going when everything else fell apart. But on the day that should have been the proudest of my life, the day my little girl became a bride, she looked at me with tear-streaked eyes and said, "My real dad is walking me down the aisle, not you." She was talking about Victor Langford, the man my ex-wife Caroline married 4 years ago. And though those words shattered me, they weren't what truly broke me. That came later when I returned home and found an unmarked package waiting on my doorstep. Inside it, my daughter's childhood diary, and the truth that destroyed everything I thought I knew. For 16 years, I was a single father, mother, protector, provider, doing everything I could to give Lydia a happy life. I run a small veterinary clinic in Willow Creek, Missouri, the same one my father, Harold Mercer, started 4 decades ago. Our town's the kind where neighbors still bring over casseroles when someone's sick, where everyone knows your name, and where secrets don't stay buried long. Lydia was my everything. Her mother, Caroline, left us when Lydia was just 9. No argument, no fight, just a note on the kitchen counter saying she needed space to find herself, and that we'd be better off without her. She disappeared to California, signed away her parental rights, and never looked back. From that day on, it was just me and Lydia. Every scraped knee, every homework project, every late-night fever, it was the two of us against the world. Then, 16 years later, Caroline came back. And she wasn't alone. Her new husband, Victor Langford, was the kind of man who wore confidence like armor. Charming, successful, dangerous in quiet ways. He owned half the real estate in Kansas City, drove imported cars, wore $2,000 suits, and smiled like he already owned the room. And suddenly, the woman who once couldn't bear to be a mother was back, playing perfect parent, backed by Victor's wealth and power. Strich. The morning of Lydia's wedding should have been one of the happiest moments of my life. Instead, it became the day I realized 16 years of love could be undone in 4 years of manipulation. I was up before dawn, pressing my tuxedo for the 3rd time. My hands were steady, but my chest felt tight. On my dresser sat an old photo, Lydia at 10, sitting on my shoulders at the county fair, missing her front teeth and laughing so hard she nearly fell off. It was 2 months after Caroline left. I remembered her asking, "Did mommy leave because I wasn't good enough?" And I told her, "No, sweetheart." Sometimes adults make choices that have nothing to do with their kids. But I don't think she ever really believed me. "You'll wear that thing out before you even get there," my dad Harold said, leaning on the doorframe. At 75, he still had the solid build of a man who'd spent his life working with his hands. "Just want it to be perfect," I told him. He smiled softly. "Your mother would be proud today. She always said Lydia had your heart but her mother's stubbornness." Before I could answer, my sister Nora came bursting in, her lavender bridesmaid dress bunched up in one hand. "Danny, eat something." I brought breakfast sandwiches from Patterson's Cafe. Lydia wanted their hash browns for the bridal party, so I grabbed extras. Patterson's had been Lydia's favorite spot growing up. Every Saturday after soccer, we'd go there for pancakes and plans. She'd tell me she wanted to be a pediatric nurse, just like her grandmother. Nora grinned. "Remember when she made that toilet paper wedding dress at 17? She made you walk her down the hallway like it was her big day." I smiled. "She made Dad the groom because she said she needed someone who wouldn't trip over her train." Harold chuckled. "Told her any real groom better not have gray hair." The real groom, Ethan Wallace, was a good man. 27, gentle, and grounded. An electrical engineer from 2 towns over. The kind of man who looked at Lydia with the same kind of love I once had for Caroline before everything fell apart. When Ethan came to ask for my blessing, his hands shook and his voice cracked. I saw myself in that moment. The night before the wedding, Lydia had pulled me aside and said, "Dad, you gave me everything I ever needed. Because of you, I know what real love looks like." That memory still echoed in my chest when Nora came knocking again. "Danny, she's asking for you." Bridal suite. The church was straight out of a painting. White steeple, blue sky, every pew full. I stopped by Blake's Blooms to grab daisies, Lydia's favorite since she was 5. She used to pick them from the backyard and say, "For you, Daddy, because you're my favorite human." When I reached the bridal suite, the bridesmaids slipped out quietly. Lydia stood before the mirror in her wedding gown, the same one she'd chosen years ago with my late mother. But her hands were trembling. "Sweetheart," I said gently, setting the daisies on the table. "Cold feet?" "Because if Ethan's not treating you right, I've got a shotgun and your grandpa knows where to bury a body."
She didn't laugh.
She turned, face pale and eyes red. Dad, I need to tell you something. Mom and Victor are here.
I forced a small smile. That's okay. It's your day.
If you want them here, then that's what matters.
No, Dad. Her voice cracked.
I asked Victor to walk me down the aisle.
My stomach dropped. What?
He's my real father figure now, she said, trembling but firm. He paid for everything, the venue, the flowers, the dress. He helped me get my job. He's been there for me.
Supporting your future.
I said, my voice breaking. Lydia, I was there for your whole life. When your mom left, when you had pneumonia, when your heart broke.
E ver gem, e ver dance, e ver nightmare, I was tere.
Tears filled her eyes. Maybe she left because you smothered her.
Victor dös entgilt for living my life.
Those words hit harder than any bullet. Behind her, my father appeared in the doorway, face flushed. What in God's name is going on? Grandpa, Lydia said coldly, please take Dad home.
Victor's walking down the aisle.
That's final.
Nora whisperet, Danny, please, not here. Don't make it worse.
I looked at my daughter, my little girl who used to dance on my feet, and felt something inside me crumble. If that's what you want, I said softly, I hope he gives you in one day what I tried to give you your whole life. Then I walked away.
Strich. Harold drove home in the längse.
That girl's making a mistake, he muttered finally.
Maybe, I whispered.
Or maybe I was too much.
He shook his head. You showed up, son. Everdam de.
That's more than most. When we pulled into the driveway, a small brown package sat on the porch. No return address, my name scrawled across it in Lydia's handwriting. Harold offered to stay, but I told him I needed to be alone. Inside, I poured a glass of the bourbon I'd saved for my toast and sat staring at that box until my hand stopped shaking. When I opened it, I froze. Inside was Lydia's old pink diary, the one I'd given her on her 10th birthday, the one with the butterfly embossed on the cover. A note taped to the front said,
Dad, read page 52 before you judge me.
Then read the last entry. I'm sorry it had to be this way.
Love L.
I flipped to page 52. April 2nd, 4 years ago. Mom came with her new husband, Victor. She said Dad threatened to ruin her career if she tried to take me. She showed me emails from his lawyer saying she was unfit. Victor says Dad manipulated everything to keep me. The papers prove it. I don't know what to believe. My stomach turned cold. None of it was true. Caroline had left without a fight. I flipped through page after page, full of poison. Lies Victor and Caroline had fed her until she saw me as the villain. Then I reached the final entry, written the night before the wedding. Dad will read this after tomorrow.
I no mom lied.
I found the real papers in Victor's office.
She left us. No one forced her.
But Victor's been threatening me. Last year at a party, someone spiked my drink.
I woke up in a hotel room, no memory.
Victor was there, with his business partner. They had photos. He said if I didn't let him walk me down the aisle, if I didn't humiliate you, he'd send them to Ethan's family. Ethan's father is a pastor. His mother runs a family counseling center. Those photos would ruin my life. Victor said making you watch him walk me down the aisle would be his victory. But I've been planning. I hired a private investigator. We found footage of him carrying me unconscious into that hotel room. My friend Mason is helping me wipe his drives. Once the ceremony starts, he'll lose everything. I needed you to believe I'd turned on you so he wouldn't suspect. You weren't suffocating, Dad. You were love. You raised a fighter. At 8 p.m., Nora will send you something. Forever your girl.
Lydia. P.S. I'm 3 months pregnant. It's a boy.
His name will be Daniel Harold Wallace. At exactly 8 o'clock my phone buzzed, a video from Nora. The reception hall was in chaos. Lydia stood at the microphone, voice steady as screenshots filled the screen behind her. You'll do what I say or everyone sees the photos. Your precious daddy can't save you. Then the hotel footage. Victor carrying her limp body down a hallway. Gasps filled the room. Lydia spoke firmly into the mic. This man tried to blackmail me into betraying my father, the man who raised me alone, who showed me what love really means. Victor Langford is a predator who thought money could buy what love built. Officers entered. Victor lunged forward, but Ethan and his groomsmen restrained him as he was handcuffed mid-scream. Then Lydia turned to the camera. Dad, if you're watching this, please come back. This day means nothing without you. I love you. Harold grabbed his keys.
Come on, son.
Your girl needs you. We drove back without speaking, but this silence was different. It wasn't heavy.
It was full of pride.
When I walked into the hall, people stepped aside. And there she was, Lydia, running straight into my arms, sobbing.
Dad, I'm so sorry.
I didn't mean any of it.
I held her tight.
You protected me. Just like I always protected you. She whispered, his name will be Daniel Jr., I wanted you to know first.
Ethan approached, eyes soft.
Mr. Mercer, we practiced a father-daughter dance for tonight. The song's ready. As I Loved Her First began to play, we stepped onto the floor. The same song I used to hum to her when she was little. She whispered. I kept one page from the diary, the one where I wrote that you're not just my father. You're my hero. The story made headlines all over Missouri. Victor was charged with blackmail and assault. Caroline vanished again, leaving another note, this time filled with apologies too late to matter. But none of that mattered when, 6 months later, I held my grandson for the first time.
Meet your grandpa, Lydia whispered.
The strongest man I know. And in that moment, I finally understood, being a parent isn't about perfection. It's about showing up when the world falls apart. Real love doesn't need an aisle or applause. It's found in pancakes, bedtime stories, and quiet sacrifices no one ever sees. Victor tried to buy in 4 years what I built in 16.
He failed.
Because my daughter didn't choose me in spite of how I raised her. She chose me because of it. And that unmarked package wasn't just a diary. It was a love letter, written in the only language that never fades. The kind made of tears, truth, and unconditional love. You just heard a story of betrayal, survival, and quiet revenge. If it left you thinking, hit like, share it forward, and subscribe for more true emotional stories that'll stay with you long after they end. Every click helps another story find its voice.